In this video, we're going to be comparing the HAPI Steel Tongue Drums with a lot of the generic tongue drums that you find prevalent on Amazon and Temu, and we're going to explain and show the differences between them. So here we have an assortment of drums. We've got some generic ones here and two HAPI drums that are similar in size, so we have a more fair comparison. And first thing we're going to look at is what happens if you accidentally miss a note when you're playing and you hit the shell. And that shell can create high harmonics that are discordant with the other notes. So let's see, there's that shell, there's that shell. You can really hear that metallic clanky sound, and then let's try it on the HAPI drum. No ringing there. Compared with so that's our first comparison. Next thing we're going to compare is how well the high notes ring. So on the generic drum here, here's a high note, and I'm just going to cover the other tongues and force that tongue to vibrate on its own. And you can see it doesn't ring hardly at all. And then here on this drum, same thing, high note's not ringing. You know, if I move to a different note that's lower, it might ring okay, but those high notes are really dead sounding. I mean, that doesn't even make a sound at all on that one. Let's go to the HAPI drum here. Here's its highest note. Nice clear sound. Again, a nice clear sound. So that's a quick, simple comparison of the high notes. Another question you might be asking yourself when you're looking at these generic drums is more tongues better? I mean, on the surface, it sounds like it should be better. Who wouldn't want more notes? But what actually ends up happening is they're cramming so many notes into such a small area that the notes start to become discordant, and some of the notes will even actually fight against each other. So I'm going to go in a circle. We'll hear what it sounds like. And then we'll try this one. See how it's kind of becoming cacophonous sounding. Now I'll do the same thing with the HAPI drum. So fewer notes allows a cleaner sound, and notes that are harmonically compatible are able to interact together in a positive way. Let's try this one here. You can hear how that starts to sound discordant, even though it's only 8 notes, but the placement and the shell is getting in the way of having a clean sound. Another thing to consider when you're looking at drums that have lots of notes on them is you need to be able to memorize where all those notes are to play it back or even smoothly go up and down through the scale. It can be really difficult to memorize with these generic style drums where the high notes and low notes and exactly which order to play them in to get that smooth scale. Whereas with the HAPI drum, we've made that a lot simpler. It's a simple left-right pattern. So you do the 4 big notes first, and then you do the 4 smaller notes. So to run through the scale, you just go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And being able to learn the scale quickly is key to being able to play more musical tones. So part of what makes a HAPI drum sound so good is the material it's made from. It's made from a high-grade steel. It's a musical steel that has a nice, strong sustain to it. And one way you can tell that it's made from steel is if you take a magnet and put it on it, it bonds to the steel. These generic drums are often made from titanium, and if I take the same magnet and put it on the titanium, it doesn't bond to it at all. You can see there. So that's one easy way to tell the difference between a high quality instrument and a lower quality instrument, is the material it's made from. And here's what the titanium sounds like. You can hear how the tone kind of falls off quickly with that, whereas with this, the tone has more sustain and clarity to it. Next, we're going to check the tuning on the drum. I'm using some tuning app software here from Peterson. It'll show us plus or minus how close we are to the note. Generally, if you're around 5 or 10% of 0, that's close enough where the human ear has a hard time hearing that it's out of tune. So we'll check this first note here. Okay, that one's not bad. Oh, plus 18, that's pretty far out. Plus 17 on that note. Plus 8, that one's okay. That one's okay. Plus 10, that's borderline. Plus 14, that's pretty far out. I'm having a hard time even getting this note to ring. It's B, but you can hear that interference pattern. That's because for this size drum, that note really shouldn't be used. That one's okay. Well, plus 17. So out of all the notes we checked, we've got 4 or 5 that are pretty far out of tune. Next, we're going to check the HAPI drum. Here we've got the HAPI drum. We're going to check this first note. Plus 3, that's great. Plus 3. Right on. Plus 4. Plus 5. Plus 3. Plus 3. Plus 3. And you can actually see these little marks here at the base of the tongue, and that's where the hand tuning that's done in the shop, and that makes sure that every note is really precise. And as we saw there with the tuner, that's going to create for a really nice harmonious tone when you play the notes together. So here's a final comparison between the different drums. Here's the generic one. There's what the shell sounds like. And I'll just go around in a circle playing the notes. And we'll do the same thing on the HAPI. That shell noise. So in conclusion, the mass-produced drums are good as a toy level instrument, but if you want something that sounds better, consider getting a HAPI.